Roll?
We are, absolutely. Ready to go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for another Saturday Live this afternoon. Phil is with me, of course, again.
Yep.
Welcome back.
Phil, winemaker here. Cyril, our vineyard master. Logging some hours out there this week, I could see.
Some warm hours, I'll tell you that.
Yep.
I don't know if you necessarily tan or more lobster. One of the two.
No, I don't think I tan very much on my face. Just turn red and then just sunburn right off the back there.
Yeah, I can relate to that. Sun hats are very much a thing around here.
They are a must. I have my nice straw hat that's massive, wide on the sides there, so I can cover my neck as well.
I know, and you know what? Last week we were talking about me and haircuts, but it looks like you beat me to it.
Oh man, this is it. I mean, with the heat, when we hit like 93 degrees yesterday, we're expecting another 94 degrees today. It's just been super hot out there. I just can't handle too much hair. For me, it's just not working out. Plus, I'm losing it anyway in the front, so might as well just make it even. I'm sure Brendan can relate to that too.
So Cyril, I approached Tina with this yesterday about, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to shave my head. She's like, oh, no, you're not. So that got beat up quickly.
But it's been pretty busy for sure out there. I mean, this is the time where the cover crop is being cut off, dried out in the field. We are just shredding all this, mixing it with the soil, trying to put back some nutrients into it for the plants to be able to use it later. So it's definitely a big, with those temperature heating, it's been really growing and pushing a lot. So it's just a matter of keeping up with that. And so Terry has done a lot of it actually. So I can't complain. It's been a very nice help for sure, that he's been able to help on the tractor and then do a lot of it as well. So it's been pretty good.
Yeah, sure. Terry back out on the tractor. He flies on that tractor. He moves much faster than I've ever seen anybody else on the tractor, myself included.
Oh boy.
He books it out there. He covered a large portion of the property in a very quick period of time with both of the different tractors, the 3-in-1, one carrying the 3-in-1 and one with the rototiller. So
yeah, definitely.
Props,
kudos,
Terry.
yeah.
Way to go.
It takes some guts for sure. I mean, on those tractors there, like between the power and the fact they don't really stop, so it's just if you hit a post in there, man, you take everything with you.
No guts, no glory. No guts, no glory. Awesome. Well, I've been still in the cellar working through stuff. We got some little tweaks and stuff like that here and there, and then a lot of wine maintenance things, checking levels in barrels and such. So a lot of time in the nice, cool cellar.
Yeah.
So,
and I believe you also you drafted the final plans to submit to Terry and Jen.
To the bosses. We'll see where I stand after today.
Yeah.
For sure. So but exciting. Some good stuff moving and coming down the pipeline. Operations here are still definitely kind of surging forward. Mother Nature's not going to stop for anything, and wine's not going to stop for anything either. So.
No. The growth we had in the vineyard in the past 2 weeks has just been from nothing or barely bread breaks to now you're looking at 6+ inches shoots going. So it's definitely not stopping.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you're familiar with what we've been doing each week, we kind of pick out a couple wines to go through. We have Chef Jeffrey here to pair with the 15 Reserve, which we'll start with. You and I can kind of just hit on it real quick, and then we'll have Jeffrey come out.
Absolutely.
And then also, congrats to the Gurkeys. I saw that you are on here, winners of last week's gift card. So hey, way to go.
Yeah,
way to go.
We might have to do the questions a little harder just for them. They have a huge knowledge about us for sure. And
everybody else is on here. Keep an eye out. You got to answer quicker than the Gurkeys. The Gurkeys are going to know a lot. They've been good members for quite some time. So they are well versed in TH history. Sure. So let's hop into the 15 Hedge.
Absolutely, yeah. So again, one of the reserves here. So we tried the 16s last week. And then this week we kind of tackling the 15 and then the 17. Really like those. I mean, the 15 again. I think 15 for me was a really interesting year. I love the skins in the 15 vintage. I do like the 3-4 and I like the Hedge a lot. So
15 is a especially regarding Syrah, is a really interesting year because we had a lot of shatter that year. So Syrah production was down to about 50% of what we would normally expect. So anytime this is 100% Syrah, all those numbers, what we could produce on these was down pretty drastically. So it's kind of it changes. You order and you do everything in advance. Preparing for harvest, and you prepare for what you expect normal crop load to be, and so
including barrels
and everything. Yeah, so a little more oak on 15s because we had more oak here. We were expecting double what we got, so it translates. But I think that the reserves are always kind of like powered by some of that new French oak, and so it doesn't shift the profile on the reserve too much to me. This is actually showing some really wonderful fruit right now. It's being one of my favorites. I prefer the 15 Hedge Reserve to the 14 and the 13 personally.
Yeah.
It's just the Syrah from that year, from 15. Even though it was mitigated, we only got half of what we had. We ended up with some pretty stellar concentration on what we had. Not to mention, I always kind of talk about, when your production's cut in half, you've got a lot more time one-on-one with each fermentation. So like fermentation management was impeccable in 2015, and it really shows in the wine. I mean, this is a beautiful Hedge Reserve.
Yeah, it tastes amazing. I like how robust it is on the finish there. It really comes through. You can really taste the oak and you can taste the barrel, but it is very well integrated.
Yeah, it's harmonious.
It doesn't punch you right off the back there. It's really just kind of well integrated. Like you say, you get the nice fruit up front. It goes through your meat palate, and the finish really kicking in. It's really nice. I love the longevity on the wine on the mouth is fantastic. I still have it. It's still ongoing. It's still developing as well. And I think that's really, really good mark of the good wine there.
Absolutely, that is stunning.
Yeah,
really tasty.
Nice, love it.
Sweet.
Cool.
So, should we get Jeffrey up here?
Yeah, absolutely. Gonna get the chef for you guys. Brought a dish with him, of course, and then you guys gonna go through the wines and ask some questions. Sweet. Thanks, chef.
Sure.
Welcome. I'll grab the dish. We're gonna point it to the cameras for you. I put them aside.
Hey, chef, do you need some more wine?
I would.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
I got you.
It is afternoon, isn't it?
You're drinking this?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
bet.
What you have with the 15, right?
It was. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about it ahead of time. Man, staying busy as ever, which is fantastic. It's great to hear. You are doing the barbecue thing. You are also of Pinot and Paella legend, legendary status. Man, oh man, you. It's pretty much. We go and we pour Jen's Pinots of that, and I feel like if you didn't win it that year, you were right there in second for it. Very impressive year after year, and the competition gets stiffer, and you're still
That's it.
Still king of the mountain.
There's some good chefs in town pumping out some good paellas, but I'm proud to say that ours is consistently a good one. It's a smoked chicken and sausage. It's an awesome all-purpose wine pairing. It goes great with Pinot, but it also goes great with Syrah and Grenache, Tempranillo. Obviously, Tempranillo being the dish of Spain, or the wine of Spain, and paella being the national dish of Spain. It's one of our signature dishes at the restaurant, and it has been going over really well with the family meals that we've been doing.
I could definitely see that. So, yes, you make some pretty stellar paella, or very stellar, I shouldn't say pretty. But what we have here is definitely not paella, but looks incredibly tasty. Honestly, he sent some pictures over to us this morning so we could help with that post. I was full. I saw the picture and was immediately hungry. It looks that good.
I wanted to eat my phone.
It's a good dish. It's a good dish. I was excited to share with you guys. I've been wanting to recreate this dish for a few years now, and it had been on my agenda to try and start playing around with it. And once Brandon and I started talking about doing this, it came to fruition. So this is a dish that I created that's inspired by an amazing Parisian restaurant. So in Paris, La Entrecôte is a steakhouse. And I don't know if you can really call it a steakhouse in the traditional American sense of the word, but my wife and I were there 3 years ago. It was my 40th birthday. The day before my birthday, we're cruising around downtown Paris, like 11 o'clock at night. We see this line outside the door, and all they serve is steak frites. And it's like a diner kind of thing, but it's steak frites, and they're drinking fantastic Bordeaux's and great French wines. And this sauce was just legendary. It blew me away. And then I come to find out, I guess, how legendary it was. So I started playing around and researching it. And after we tasted these wines together, I thought it was a perfect opportunity to pair, because I think you guys' wines bring what I like to call like a old world elegance to new world California wines. I think it's in the barrel program. What do you think?
It could very well be. I greatly appreciate that. Love it. We try to show a little different balance to the wines, and it's nice that it comes out that way. We've seen some pretty inspiring dishes. This is right up there with it. So I guess it says we're doing something right with the wines too.
Most definitely. I've been familiar with the label and the brand for quite some time, but it's my first time being able to get up here and check it out and be able to meet you guys and cruise around the facility and see the vineyards. It's a beautiful, beautiful property.
It is. We're very fortunate up here. I always joke it's a nice office to be working in. You don't ever get really sick of the scenery at all. So let's go. We heard the other day you were on with the Wine Country Alliance, which is fantastic, and you did a wonderful job there as well. We heard that you like to work and kind of play off of music as well. Go into that. Do you certain songs inspire dishes for you, or?
That's a good one. Music is as important to food, to wine, to life, to the lifestyle that we live here. And for the most part, the ambiance that we create with the music, we play at the restaurant. One of my biggest hobbies, favorite hobbies, is going to concerts. You guys remember when there were concerts? It's been over a month. We're struggling with it, but one of the best parts of the music community and music lovers are all the home shows that everyone's doing, from our favorite local bands like Matt Cross and Bear Market Riot, to some of my favorite bands, Fish, all the different variations of the Grateful Dead. I'm a big fan of the jam band scene, and there's a good community. There's a good jam band community in our town.
We definitely do have a good jam band community. I've caught.
I hear you're a musician.
Yeah, I play for sure, and it's been the nice part about it is I've played up here and there for a long time. I went back down south and was hanging out with musicians down in LA for a little while. Up here, it's like, hey, let's get together and play and have fun. Down there is a little more kind of like cutthroat.
A little more competitive and cutthroat.
So it's a wonderful area with a lot of collaboration on stuff. And it's kind of the same. I feel like a lot of the philosophies that are in the wine industry, the local restaurant industry, and music industry. It's all kind of overlaps into this more general, like, hey, as a community, let's just get together and we all, we put the mark farther ahead together than we will each individuals.
So true. So true when it comes to our community as a whole, and then the specific, the wine community, the restaurant community, the music community. It's we all riff off each other. We all enjoy each other's art, the craft that we put into it. In our kitchen, we listen to music, and in our dining room, we listen to music. Some chefs that are really hardcore, if you will, are not into the music in the kitchen. But in my world and in the world we are, it kind of helps you get through some of the mundane prepping things that we need to do. Part of the restaurant business is a lot of mundane, doing the same prep over and over again to keep that consistency. So being able to listen to music, being able to get into your groove. When we're out on the smokers and I'm getting all the meats on the smoker, we got our house music playing. So these days it's been the Devil Makes 3
nice
Pandora channel. We're mixing it up with a little Dawes Pandora channel. You guys familiar with those guys? And then as a lot of folks know, Fish and the Dead. Those are my jams. Those are we like to go out to shows with some winemaker buddies, Curtis and Drew and Chef Jacob. We all get together and go to shows and cook food with each other and share each other's wines, and that's what it's about.
That's a good crowd. That's all I was going to say. I'm a good crowd of people.
So
For
Chef,
sure.
So Chef, I went to when there was concerts. Growing up, I listened to Sublime 24/7.
That's
so
right.
Sublime with Rome came to
Vina Robles.
Oh, I was singing every song. I just was right in front. It was amazing.
Wasn't that a great show?
You were there?
Yeah, I was at that show. That was a fantastic show. I wasn't sure what to expect with Rome, but Bradley and the boys and they did it. It was impressive. It was a really great show. Yeah, Vina Robles, man, how lucky are we to have Vina Robles Amphitheater here in our backyard? It's going to be a bummer, and you wonder when they're going to be able to start having live concerts again. But I look forward to it because they've done such a great job with being able to bring live music to our town, and bring the wine country tourist here as well. It's been a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, as a you are very obviously well versed with the grill. Do you have grill tips for anybody at home who's looking to expand their home grilling game?
Yeah, we're always giving out tips, and we love people to come up and are passionate and interested in the techniques that I use when it comes to the smoked meats. We use pellet smokers, so all of my smokers, we have 6 wood pellet smokers, and things like our brisket and our pulled pork, they go on for 15, 16, 17, 18 hours, depending on the size. So a big important tip is patience. If anything's done right, it's worth waiting for. So when it comes to low and slow cooking on any kind of smoker, keeping an eye on it, being patient with it. The dish that I brought this afternoon rather, is not smoked. This is a classic Parisian kind of influenced dish, but this is a great kind of contrast to a low and slow cooked brisket versus a fast and hot seared ribeye. This is a New York strip. So the different technique that's important, I took the New York strip steak, brought it up to kind of room temperature, heavily seasoned it with salt and pepper. That was all. And it's more salt than pepper. A lot of folks accidentally over season their steak with pepper, but it is a good kind of robust flavor, and it definitely goes good with big reds. But it's that salt that's important that helps draw out the flavor. And we got the cast iron pan, smoking with a little bit of olive oil, and just as soon as you see that olive oil start to burn, or it's a smoke rather, you put the steak in there. And we did it for about 3 minutes. About 3 minutes aside, 3.5 minutes aside, depending on how you like your steak. And then the important thing is to let it rest. I think it's become pretty well known in the home cooks world, but one of the most important part of cooking a perfect steak is making sure that you allow time for it to rest. And that could be 2, 3, 4 minutes. Allow the meat fibers to open back up, to collect those juices. There's nothing worse than cooking this beautiful steak and then getting impatient and hungry and what have you, and then you slice into it, and then you watch all these beautiful juices flow out on your cutting board, and then by the time you're eating it, it's dry and tough. Allow the steak to rest, and that allows you the time to warm up the sauce, or grab some other pop open the bottle.
Yeah, another glass of wine. Absolutely. Yeah, it is it breaks my heart when I see something cut early like that, and you get the juices flowing everywhere, for sure. Because I mean, you did it all right. You could do it all right until that one moment, and then.
So true. Yeah, so true. The what we did with the pommes frites is another fun culinary technique for anybody at home to give a shot. Pommes frites, right? French fries, but pommes frites are very different than traditional American French fries. Pommes frites use a technique where you blanch them in low temperature oil first. So we did it about 250 degrees. I took the potatoes. We use russets. You can buy russets at the store. One of the best potatoes that restaurants are able to use, called Kennebec. Kennebec potato is you don't see them on the retail market, but it's a fantastic potato that was specifically kind of created to have a perfect combination of starch and sugars, and it makes the perfect pommes frites. If you can find Kennebec potatoes, check them out. But russets will work really well, so we cut them into a julienne, a little bit bigger than a julienne. Let them sit in some cold water to kind of let some of that starch leach out. And then dry them off, put them in low temperature oil, 250 degree oil, just so again you're kind of poaching them, if you will. and let those, you just want the little bit of the bubbles to be able to show from the oil. And let those, poach for just a couple, three minutes or so. Pull them out, drain them. You'll put them on a sheet pan with towels or paper towels so that oil can kind of drain out. And then let them rest for a little while. We let them rest overnight. This is something that we did. I did yesterday, and then fried them today. So then, once you're able to let those rest, let those dry off a little bit, let some of that excess oil drain off, then put them back in 350 to 375 degree oil and fry them. And that technique really produces an amazing crispy on the outside, soft. It's almost like mashed potatoes on the middle with a crispy fried skin. It's the pommes frites are the perfect fried potato.
I am definitely going to give that a whirl. So just so you guys know too, we always repost these or have them back up and running. If you want to go back, like I will, and listen in detail and follow step by step, it's one of the nice things about tuning into this kind of stuff.
We have a question.
All right, producer
so
Brandon.
It's the chef from the chef just on this, Chef Wills from Canyon Villa, and he says, "Hey,
Will, cheers, chef. I drove by your spot on the way down here. Good to see you."
He's where do you source your meats from?
Source my meats from, let's see, Giordano's Food Service, based out of Santa Barbara, has been my mainline purveyor at the restaurant. See, when it comes to sourcing meats for the restaurant use, commercial use, versus sourcing meats for home use, or like in Will's case, as being a personal chef. I was a personal chef and a caterer before we got into the restaurant side of things. So sourcing meat for the home cook, I'd say hit up any of the farmers markets. I live in downtown Templeton. The Templeton Farmers Market was beautiful today.
Yeah,
they have
seen one this morning.
They have some great products there, and I forget who it is, but I'm pretty sure that there's a meat purveyor there. I'm an advocate of supporting your local small business when you can, when it comes to your local farmers and your local meat shops. As some of you may know, J&R Meats is probably the most well-respected and well-known small local butcher shop in here, and they have some fantastic products, so I would always recommend them. But at the same point, commercial products, we call them in the business, we call them commodity meats. Commodity meats, I'm looking for nothing less than choice, and preferably we can get specs that are even more specific of upper 2/3, upper 1/3 choice. But what you're looking for is choice, and then if you can find prime, get on the prime. Prime is some of the most beautiful marbling that you will see until you get into a whole nother classification of meats. You guys are familiar with the term Wagyu.
Oh, yeah.
Wagyu. It started out being kind of more known as Kobe beef, and then it's kind of the marketing team of the Japanese Meat Council, if you will. They started changing it. So Wagyu is the name of the breed. Kobe is the name of the town. So Wagyu beef, you see it in America, it's crossbred with the American Black Angus. And then there's a Black Angus cow, there's a Wagyu cow. They make American Wagyu. The marbling, the intermuscular fat, the inner marbling of the muscle is unbelievable, and it makes that steak, that meat, like butter. So that's kind of the grading system that you're looking for. Wagyu, separate classification, then you get into USDA standards, and it's prime and choice. There's select out on the market. I know some grocery stores, you'll see it around, and it's definitely a little bit more affordable, but there's no real good marbling in it. So it's going to be a drier, leaner piece of meat. If you're looking to really watch your saturated fat intake, select grade might be an option, but I don't suggest it. I suggest choice and prime, and I suggest real butter and the appropriate amount of salt, and everything in moderation.
Perfect. I love it. So you're still open and operating, and staying real busy, which is great to hear. What can people pick up from you, and how?
We have been staying real busy is like we talked about, a subjective kind of thing. But in the new times that we're in, we really appreciate the support that we've been getting from the community. It's been fantastic. We are definitely a locals kind of hangout, and that's what we opened for, and that's what we always wanted to be. So nobody ever prepares for situations like this, and for us to be able to keep doing what we do as far as selling the barbecue and adjusting on the fly. So for instance, we didn't really have the family meal concept before the crisis. But now the there are folks that may be struggling or trying to figure out how they're going to feed their family at a reasonable rate and still want to have quality scratch-made food. That's what we've kind of pivoted towards. So the paella family meal has been huge hit. And then we've done little cool things with barbecue combos that will have ribs and chicken or tri-tip and pulled pork, and kind of you can do a build your own, but they're coming with our award-winning mac and cheese.
There you go. Hey.
Our smoked pork ranch beans and our slaw, and it's definitely enough to feed a family of 4 and probably have leftovers for another meal. And we're running those. The paella has been for $44, and the barbecue combos are $75. And it's a great meal, and I think it's a great opportunity to have good food, sit around with your family, not worrying about cooking that night, because I do support cooking with your family if it's something that you're into, being able to cook with your family and to create things with the kids. If cooking and wine is a passion of yours or even an interest, cultivate that with getting the family involved, finding a dish. If it's this dish, so we talked about we put a little recipe together. We'll put the recipe online. It's a complicated recipe, so it's a great kind of dish to be able to get together, read through the ingredients, cook it with your family, and then I can't say we're going to be running this at the restaurant. So
Chef, when can they pick up orders from you?
We are open Thursday through Monday from 11 to 8. So you can online order. We go to our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and our website has our online ordering platform. And that's a great way to be able to order, pay, and then we always encourage people to come in. The curbside thing we're kind of doing, but if for those of you who don't know, we're located in the alley. A little bit hard to find, a little off the beaten path. We're between 12th and 13th and Park and Pine in downtown Paso. So you come off of Pine Street, you got an alley, and you can come down there and kind of be respectful of everyone else and pull to the side. There's plenty of parking in downtown Paso right now, as we may know. And come in and pick up your food. We're also working with Grubhub and a new local company called Food Jets, and they are two good delivery service companies. We're going to be phasing out one of the companies, but I would say that anyone that's looking to get takeout, if it's all possible, please go support your local restaurants and go in there and wear your mask and say hi and kind of get that human interaction for a minute. Stay 6 feet apart, right? Those are the rules. We're following the rules. We want to get on the other side of this as soon as possible, and our beliefs are that if we keep following the protocols, wearing the masks, social distancing, come on in. We're doing wine and beer to go. We got some smoking deals. We'll talk about bringing in some of these guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come down. Like I said, I know, you've been the new kind of busy, running around and doing everything. But greatly appreciate it. I highly recommend anyone locally in the area to pick some food up. I was very excited when you opened a restaurant because like random festivals and things like that, I would come across your food. It was always spectacular, always right on point. And this is a lovely treat. Like I said, I will definitely be attempting to tackle this dish at some point in time. So hopefully I get it right.
Yeah, speaking of tackling a dish, anybody, so we're doing this fun little incentive here. So create a dish, recreate this dish at home. I think it'd be super fun to do with the family, right? Actually not texting, but interfacing with family or something new. But create it, tag Chef Jeffrey and TH Estate on it. And then we're going to do a little giveaway. So you got a week to do it. So Christina, I know you're on here. So you're still making this dish very soon.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you so much for coming down.
Appreciate
Cheers.
it. Cheers.
Absolutely.
Are we allowed to do this?
All right. Well, that looks fantastic.
It smells amazing.
I know.
Actually.
I'm still very hungry.
Those fries there. Ooh.
Absolutely. Is this a meal that you've tackled before, Cyril?
Yeah, definitely. This is one of the classic. It's probably one of the easiest. I feel like the easiest to just put together as well.
Nice.
Super consistent meal too. But I remember just walking down in Paris, like the chef said. I think this is the perfect thing. It's a lunchtime. It's It's $15, and you get your coffee, and then you get your steak frites, and then and a glass of wine, and then that's all it's about. And you eat in like 20 minutes. It's super quick, but it's such a staple for lunch, a quick lunch at a bistro somewhere. So
Nice.
Yeah,
great memories every time.
We'll post a recipe up here on our social media here afterwards, so be sure to be on the lookout for that.
Perfect. So I think you should answer your question, or maybe me. We should pull a question.
We should pull a question for
You
sure.
should pull a question and also ask a question.
So which one want to do first? Let's ask a question first.
Let's ask a question first.
Yeah. So
I
let's
don't
do
have, no, I don't have one ready yet.
Okay.
I'm vetoing that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll work on one. We'll get it out there.
So let's put a question that you guys have been asking all week long there on our social media. Feel free to ask for more.
Absolutely.
We will be pulling one or two today, probably, and see what we can go through. So let's see. Well, the first one is for me.
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you most admire in California wine and why? Well. That's an interesting one. It is a big topic, right? Well, I'm the French guy here, so it's like, why don't you just drink French wines? Like, undermine any wines that's made in California? No, not quite. Actually, it's become the opposite completely now. I must say, I was a big Burgundy drinker for 10 years almost. Really, it's just like Pinot Noirs was my thing, specifically from Burgundy. But as I moved to the US and just started discovering those wines as well, because again, this is not something that's widely available in Europe, at least not in the diversity that you really have here. And so, I mean, I've become it blew me away, kind of the techniques they were using, the savoir-faire that was behind every wine that was made, and just the audacity that shows here is pretty amazing. Those guys will do anything and everything and put it in a bottle and find out if you like it or not.
We will. We will.
It's just there's no stubborn person out here. I feel like everybody's really open-minded. They will do again a bit of everything, every techniques. Using tons of barrels, tons of different fermentations and things like this. And I really like that. I really enjoy that. So I really like to be part of that because it's so dynamic, and it's always about the next thing. You never kind of sit on your flowers there. You never feel comfortable. You're always ahead. You always to think ahead, and I really like that. I've really been enjoying that. So it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk often, amongst ourselves because we're in the wine community. We're living kind of the wine life. What's trending? What are you into? What do we see happening? All that to say that I think like everybody. My personal feeling is that there's a lot of mavericks in California that just do what they do, and it's kind of like inside or outside of any given trend, they're going to pursue their vision for what wine should be, which is kind of a fun thing.
Yeah. And again, I mean, there's definitely a few stubborn people around, I'm sure, but oh man, it's just a lot less. And the younger generation of winemakers in France are also starting to try a lot more and be open-minded to it. And I think it's great. There's a lot of exchange happening, not only in winemaking but also into the plants. I feel like the clones of the varietals that we've been using and things like this. So it's super cool.
Yeah,
really, really happy with that. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, thanks for answering that question. Yeah. And thank you for the questions. Keep them coming, everybody.
Absolutely.
A question for you guys. So this will be worth a gift card if you can answer it. What happened in 2015 to the Syrah? What was it that happened that reduced our yield by half? It's a little trickier one, but we'll get another shot later if no one gets it. So, but based off what we did earlier, it's a fun little thing to throw out there, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those where, again, like we keep mentioning, it's just a vintage thing. It's just one of those that characterize that 2015 for sure, and particularly with the Syrah. Yeah,
absolutely. And again, with that 15, both the traditional Hedge and the Hedge Reserve are stunning from that year. Two of my favorite wines I've had here in recent history. So definitely worth getting into if you got it. And if you don't have it, it'll be on the web store.
Yeah.
You know, all these kinds of things. I won't drag a wine out here in front of you that we don't make available. I really don't like it when
Sure,
anyone
you don't
does
want
that.
to tease them a little bit there.
I'll make sure to have links up there for you guys. We have a really cool collection. I'm sure you'll talk about it a little bit that we pulled out. So that's awesome.
Perfect. Yeah, let's go hop over to the 17. So I mentioned a while back that I tend to find that a lot of the odd years tend to be a little more finesse. It's not always the case for sure, but as a general rule of thumb, the 16 Hedge Reserve shows a lot more tannin than I feel like the 15 or the 17 does. I haven't had the 17 in a little bit, so we'll see. Kind of how it's coming across today, but the 17s to me across the board were really elegant vintage, really pretty, and so it's nice. It wouldn't be super fun if every year was big and brooding. My tongue would be punished pretty heavily for it while we're going through stuff, and so this is just a lovely but a lovely restrained Hedge Reserve.
Yeah, I remember when you were putting this together, because this is the newest vintage that we just pulled out this winter. We just released it for our spring there, and we just bottled it in January. So I remember when you were pulling those together, trying to come up with the final blends, final little tweaks on the reserve wines there. And then so you crafted all three of them, the 46, the Hedge, and the 5 blocks reserves. And then when I came out to check on you a little bit, because you've been drinking wine all day in the sun. It's just I recall that there's always a few comments from one of us here that you're gonna take on and kind of see if we can change and improve the wines on. But I feel like the Hedge, you just nailed it pretty much right away. I think that's a wine that just hit me perfectly the way it was the first time put together. So it's super cool when I'm sure for you as well. It's just took you a bunch of time in tasting when you manage to just narrow down the wine really quickly, playing with a lot of different barrels as well. How many barrels did you have of the Hedge Reserves to put it together really?
So
finish it up.
The Hedge Reserve is a pretty small production lot. I mean, I would say it's I probably used about 5 or 6 barrels for it,
right.
in that ballpark. What I'll do for something like this, 6 barrels actually, because I remember exactly what the composition is now. It came back to me, but I'll even with blends like this use to try to make sure that the oak stays in balance with it. I will use part of a barrel, and actually kind of like the final tweak of a blend will be kind of me going in with something heavier barrel influenced, and just going by like 5-gallon increments, and kind of 5 gallons in, taste it, 5 gallons in, taste it, and get it to the spot where I get just the oak influence that I want from that, kind of framing the fruit and the spice and all the components coming from the wine. So we're working small lots, but we do make really small little tweaks like that, and then it means finding a home for partial. We'll probably top with the rest of a barrel like that or something.
Yeah, and I think that's touching on the reason the blend for that as well, actually, because this 17 vintage in particular, you did add a little bit of Mourvèdre in it. And so I'm sure that was that process of blending a little bit at a time. I'd be like, oh, maybe a little bit more Mourvèdre in there will be cool, and then bring something else to the wine, right?
Absolutely. These reserves are often barrel selected, and so the Hedge Reserve for this vintage is actually a 1 part of the Lamballe, 1 part of the 3-4, and 1 part of the Hedge. So I took kind of my favorites from the 3 Syrahs and combined it for this Hedge Reserve. So the little bit of the Mourvèdre kind of snuck in from the 3-4 in 2017, which has some Mourvèdre in there to kind of push out the body of the wine.
Producer B loves the Mourvèdre in there.
Yeah, Mourvèdre. I think Mourvèdre plays wonderfully with both Grenache and Syrah, and to me, it's the cohesive element on a GSM blend. It's kind of it can do and play with some of the stuff that Syrah does, and go and play with very complementary to Grenache as well. And so sometimes I find that just the just the Grenache and Syrah take a little longer by themselves to integrate. Not that they're not great wines. I mean, we've got tons of vintages of 46 that are comprised of just those two varietals, and they integrate, and they're absolutely wonderful and stunning wines. I just think that the Mourvèdre makes it a little more cohesive a little earlier on.
Yeah, those are some of the things that I think I've seen even more now with this past trial that you've been doing for the 2018 vintage, where you really, I know the 5 lock was a bit of a struggle for you this time around, and I mean, you went everywhere with that. Heavy on Syrah, heavy on Mourvèdre, a little bit more Grenache here and there. And so you really see that effect that the Mourvèdre can have into the wine, which is super interesting for sure. But this is still very young. I mean, we just bottled it. It is very, very bright there when I taste it, but super nice aromatics on it still, though.
Yeah, the aromatics are great. I mean, I'm actually getting bits and pieces of those 3 wines in there for sure. And yeah, you're right. Lots like nice bright acid, bright fruit on everything right now. A very a wonderful wine. I'm always partial to the stuff that you have your blood, sweat, and tears go into, and it's tasting wonderful. I think the 15 wins it for me today, though. This is still young, still on the bright side. The 15 Hedge Reserve is in a, like I said, spectacular spot right now.
Yeah,
so
I think just the time is definitely key in that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would.
A year from now, it will be a different wine already.
Yes, you bet. I mean, I would wait on this a little bit. If you got it, keep it in there. Tuck it a little deeper into the wine fridge because it is probably getting low at this point in time.
Yourself.
And if it is getting low, then you know what? We have 3 packs of these Hedge Reserves, the 15, 16, and 17. And I would also, anytime that you can kind of assemble, 3 different vintages in a row and go through this kind of same process that we've been going through the last couple of weeks, I highly recommend it. It is you'll understand all the things that we've been talking about. I mean, kind of come back, revisit the videos, watch through the videos, kind of see what our perception of the wines were, and get an idea of really kind of what each vintage is bringing to the table.
And right this second, I put a link into the Facebook feed, and go to our bio link and Instagram, and then you can go ahead and get your free pack.
Sweet.
Perfect. Well, shall I answer a question, Cyril?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and how about you draw from that one?
Also, I forgot to see who won the gift card. Okay.
Okay. All right. We got a winner?
We got a lot of answers.
The producer B might not know what my what the answer is. I love it. This is actually for me too. This is eerie how this is where I don't know if you can see in there. There's a bunch of questions in there. We're really not like putting 2 pieces of paper in there or 1 piece of paper and handing it to somebody. What has surprised you about being a winemaker? Man, oh man, I could write a book about the things that have surprised me about being a winemaker.
Being a winemaker is already surprising, isn't it? Like just in the fact that you turn around your career so much and
very rapidly and quickly. Yeah,
just like I don't think 5 years ago or 6 years ago you were.
That I would imagine myself in this position. No, not at all. That is very surprising. I have been very fortunate to kind of land here with the Hogues and have them instill all the trust that they've instilled in me. Terry is very much like, hey, just throw them into the water and see if people swim, which doing this, I've learned that's a pretty darn good philosophy for somebody you're going to have, because there's so many curveballs that get thrown your way that, man, if you can't swim, then yeah, it's not the job for you, because it's a lot of creative problem solving all the time. Other than the fact that I somehow made it here this way, I think the most surprising thing, especially being a winemaker at a place that's our size, is the sheer number of hats you wear. I mean, with everything that has happened here, it's like I am now also a sound guy here. I do have to play music. I've done sound for people before for live events and things, but man, pulled that out of the hat, or pulled that hat out of the closet, I guess. And then, as Cyril can attest to, you design things, you repair things, you rebuild things. I've done electrical work. I've done mechanical. Essentially a lot of some of my previous venture or early education skills, like from mechanical engineering, have been put into place. Repairing stuff and redesigning stuff. And Cyril impressively got the rototiller, which was pretty annihilated at the end of the season, back in running order. And Terry
lost some eyesight maybe, but other than that, it is working.
It's working great. I have not seen Terry kicking it out there in the vineyard yet. So
it's been 10 acres so far. So.
It's promising. That's what you want to see. As long as you don't come in the next day and it's broken again, I think your soul survives for another day. But lots of different stuff that you're always doing here. I've done a fair amount of public speaking in the last year at events and stuff like that. We learn wear all kinds of hats in terms of how can we connect with you guys. You're an entrepreneur, and you're always representing yourself, your coworkers, your region. We were talking about travel. We were set to travel to the High Museum for an auction over there this year. Yeah. That didn't happen, obviously. But one of the things that was brought up to me, knowing that we had put this auction lot together that was representing Paso, was, hey, you're representing all of us when you go over there. Do a good job, buddy. And so
200 plus wineries.
Yeah, so it's like you represent a lot of different things too, and every one of us, Jeffrey had touched on it. It's a very community driven area, and we all work together on that, and we all work together to kind of push the Paso brand, the Paso name out there, not just our own individual wines and efforts or anything like that. You're representing a lot more than just yourself or even the company and the wine you're producing. You're representing, kind of everybody in the area that way. But yeah, lots of different stuff. I'm sure there's more surprising things around the corner for me.
So Jen said, one of the things I find funny is how many YouTube videos have you guys watched? I'm learning. Okay, how do I weld this?
This has become the new go-to know how to do things. It's just like I was watching probably a worth of an hour of how to program that inverter. And I have no clue what an inverter really does. Honestly,
just what you needed to do.
I know you can do a ton of things. It's just like, what do I need to do with that? And then so it's just a matter of watching people tweaking around with it, tweaking myself around with it, and programming things up. I know you've done that before as well, and I think it's our largest source of knowledge. Modern knowledge that you can get out there.
God bless all the people that actually publish those videos. Yes. It's probably a pretty tedious process, but it is appreciated.
Yeah. Hey, so we have a question. So one of our people watching, Dawn, she actually has a 2013 3-4 she's opening up tonight, and she said, any tasting notes?
Oh, well, wow. Yeah. Is my first tasting note. That is actually, we were doing a Zoom meeting with a UGA alum chapter in San Diego. And one of the questions that was brought up, actually from one of Terry's teammates, was what's the favorite wines or favorite things produced. That 1334 is one of my absolute favorite wines that I've had here in Paso, period. Definitely one of my favorites that the Hogues have produced. And kind of one of the benchmark wines when, if I'm looking to kind of, what do I want to meet or excel, that is one of the wines that I have in mind for sure. Dark, great concentration, lovely dark fruits. The barrel components are definitely there, but they really do a wonderful job of just framing this great concentrated fruit. I haven't had it in a little bit. We did it last year at the winemaker's dinner, and that was fantastic. But that is going to be a wonderful bottle of wine. I can definitely guarantee that. It's one of my favorites.
Definitely. I think the 3-4 has been on the long term I know we were able to open up 2011 for Christmas this past year with all those guys there. So I managed to get my hands on the 2011 vintage, and it was 3-4, and it was just fantastic. It's 11, but more. It still has so many years to go and reflect. So I think any vintage, all the vintages of the 3-4, that will be fantastic. But I know you use the 13 as a calibration for yourself there, before blending almost.
I definitely say it's a bookmark wine for me. I have a little bit left in my stash. I think I've got like a magnum of the 13 3-4, and that might be about it for me. So let me know, Don. If that's where's it sitting in your book? Take a picture. Let us know. I'd be curious.
Yeah, make sure you share that with us, please.
All right. So we have anything else on the docket, producer Brandon?
Well, a couple things. One, answer the question, and two, what's happening next Saturday?
Actually, what's happening the next few Saturdays?
Wow, yeah.
Because we've been putting together a calendar that's over a month now worth of content for you guys on Saturday. We picked all the wines that we wanted to touch on, and then you guys also suggested, so we kind of introduced those into those weekends there. And so this is being, I think, emailed as well as posted online this upcoming week. But what are we touching on next week?
So, for one, it's you can find the events now on our website. The events page on the website will actually have what we're going over each of these Saturdays. The events on events page on our Facebook page also will have these, and then we'll be sending emails and stuff out. The following week, I believe we have Jen.
Yes.
Jen will grace the TH table here. And we'll talk some DeCru, a little bit of a Pinot party in the Roan House for next week. We actually will do a 18 DeCru Rosé, which we have a very limited amount of. That rosé is absolutely stunning. I mentioned it actually the very first Saturday we did this. If I could, Pinot Rosé is probably my favorite, and if I could amplify the amount of that we could produce, it'd be fantastic. Some years we don't have enough to make any at all, which is a very sad thing, but yeah, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah, so she's coming on next week as a guest there. She's going to be going through the story a little bit of the crew, and this is a little baby really, so it's just it
is. It's still it's a small passion project, absolutely. And Jen is passionate about Pinot, which is fantastic. We were talking about it with I was talking with Jeffrey prior to starting up today, and man, you have to be dedicated and very passionate about restaurant work, wine work, anything like that. And so it's good to work with somebody that's as motivated about representing Pinot well as Jen. Yeah. And it'll be a great conversation. She is a riot to hang out with. So
all right, last question here. So I know we got to wrap up. We're getting about 52 minutes into this. So I guess I'm bringing rosé home tonight. Christina said, "What cheese should I pair with it?"
Damn.
What do you think?
I'm a big goat cheese fan. Ooh. It's a nice rosé.
Right.
It's not a huge tannins, so I don't want something too big on it. If you like goat cheese, I will go for goat cheese on that.
Goat cheese, Christina.
And you can, what do you think on that? What do you go for?
I haven't had a little bit. If the acidity's mellowed a little, I might actually go with like a Belle Fontaine raspberry from Vivant. A little bit of the saltiness from kind of the Parmesan is dipped in the raspberry, which kind of it does a nice job of highlighting some of the fruit characters on the rosé.
Yeah, and so also one more last thing before we leave you guys. So we're doing the rosé, the DeCru rosé with Jen next week, and then the week after we're gonna touch on one of the Picpoul Blanc as well as the other Pinot, the Rosemary 2016. So as a Mother's Day coming up as well in a couple of weeks there, we are putting up a bundle for those three wines that we're going to be touching on the next 2 weeks. This is going live Monday as well, so we're going to be sending out emails as well and posting it on social media. But this is something that we want to offer you guys. If you're interested in picking some of the wines up, you can have those.
It's for your mother.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I was going to say.
So, yeah, it's a great...
Take care of your moms out there.
Yeah, we figure Pinot Rosés and whites will fit...
Fits the bill. And some bath salts.
And some bath
And,
salts.
and a little bath salt gift as well,
sure.
part of it. So you can just relax at home in the bathtub with a glass of rosé, because this is what we do best right now.
Yeah, no better time than now. Plenty of time for it. Huh? Well, thank you as always for everybody tuning in. Shoot us questions that you got, anything that you're interested in hearing from us. It does not have to be wine related. It can be anything related.
Yeah.
It's all fair game.
What happened in 2015? I'm dying to know.
Shatter.
Oh, Gurky again.
I told you guys to watch out for the Gurkies. They know their TH history. Congrats, you guys.
All right, keep it up. We're gonna stump you one of these days, Gurkies. Cool.
Well, thank you guys very much again for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
We'll see you guys next Saturday.
Next Saturday.
Keep on eating.
We also I get the last piece of housekeeping. We did start up a YouTube channel as well, and we will have these videos loaded there for you to go back and view at any point in time, along with additional content. And that content will probably make its way to some social media outlets as well. We'll see, but it's just one more way of revisiting these, and I encourage you to check it out. You can subscribe.
Perfect.
And remember, if you're local, go see Jeffrey, Wine Country.
Absolutely.
Go see.
Highly recommend it.
Sweet. Thank you very much, guys.
You bet. Take
Appreciate
care.
it.